Okay, everyone, we got class 15 here on the books for today. We're just gonna go with a footwork, you could say, for the warm-up, but it's our base and our mobility. And remember, a really good base is a really mobile base. That doesn't mean you're having to take big, exaggerated steps. It just means you can move around and defend yourself while doing it. Okay, so we're gonna look at that. Just kind of is a review, really, but it's somewhat a lot of what we're gonna do today. Is going to be focusing back in on our arm bar from mount, from breaking the headlock. So we'll also take a look at that as well. Let's go ahead and get moving with some footwork here. First, let's just practice. We'll go sideways here, getting your base, and we're just, Good. Now when you go back, other foot forward, please. Forward. Hips forward. There you go. Good. Good correction. Okay, and remember, so we might turn our knees sometimes for techniques. We step up sometimes for throws and techniques. But one thing I want you to think about is it's kind of like when I turn my foot sideways like this, it makes my hip want to go that way. Well, that's fine. But here, I can still have that and still have that balance on this line with my hips forward. It's when my hips aren't forward that I'm not gonna have the balance. So here, I got that 4-point base, okay? So that's just one of the biggest things that everybody's kind of always like, oh, okay, yeah, hips forward. One of the number one things I correct, and then I'm also looking at all the time myself, okay? So here, knees are a little bent. That's the arm. Think about mobility up and down. See how, yes. Okay, so a defensive posture, we have our knees bent. But that gives us mobility. It gives us the ability to spring. Okay, so hips are forward. We still have that, even though it's gotten a little smaller because our hips are forward. And then forward again. Hips forward. Yes, good. Backwards. Nice. Good. Stand right here. Face me. So here's what, let's go distance. Okay, I'm going to tell you what direction to go, and then I just want you to step in that direction, okay? So do it again, so forward, back. Now when I say lead side, I like saying that instead of left, because we might have some people in here that their dominant side forward is their right, okay? So when I say lead, that just means what foot is in the lead, what foot's forward. Okay, so when I say lead side, we step with our lead side. And that's you stepping, that's my rear side, if we're mirrored, okay? And then rear side. Good. Forward, backwards, lead side, rear side. Check, base, here, forward weight distribution, weight is in the balls of our feet. Back and turn your knee forward a little bit. Okay. Find those hips. All right. So, think we're here. Grab. So, like that. Okay, and then here. Let go. All right. I need to. As I go back, I lower myself down as well.
Is this where?
That's where you're gonna turn. Yes, and you need that. Yeah, hip forward anyway, but it's where that knee, so I was saying a second ago, is hips can be forward, but this knee is out, this foot is out. So if I need to engage here to bring my hips back, I can do so. And that's situational, but here, don't do anything. Just relax. Right? That's the sort of defense. Get in your base. Yeah. Yeah. Well, think about this. Your forearm block on the overhand. Yes. Okay, and we get into later on some of this in some other classes. Here, here. We've seen a little bit already the push defense. But what you have to be able to do to have a good base, you have to be mobile, we've discussed that recently, and you have to be able to defend against pushes and pulls. And that being mobile thing, that's in all directions, right? We've discussed that in one of our earlier classes. Hey, it's every which direction that they want to move. And you need to be, by this time are really conceptualizing maintaining distance, right? So always just want to be aware of that. You're developing depth perception for your jiu-jitsu, okay? So now, back in your base, check your distance, okay? Back, lead. Now, imagine there's a little too wide. Good, yeah, turn your ass, there you go. Now imagine there's almost like a stake driving your foot to the mat. We're just circling or pivoting. All right, take one more step forward before we do it. Good, now pivot with me. This is like the teeter-totter drill, but from standing. Got a little close to you. I backed off there, but like that, see, that's gonna happen. Like right here, I was too close. Yeah. And then I stepped a little further away, so check. Now I'm gonna circle around. Don't let me creep too close to you, because when you turn, you have to adjust your base a little bit incrementally. See, you did it. You did it right there. You're like, yeah, he's cutting that corner, he's gonna get close to me. And here's the thing, people are not always gonna come straight in like this, right? It's just a basic idea that somebody might try and flank you, right? Like overhands, round punches, they come from this more of the side, and you gotta be able to defend on all lines, okay? So remember, mobile base, small steps. You don't want to take any big exaggerated steps, you'll get too wide. Sometimes when we teach some of the weapon defense, we have to close a bigger gap. Or so they just swung and missed, and we have to close a bigger gap, okay? But, small footwork to maintain distance, all right? So let's take a look now for the next few classes, our last headlock defense from the side headlock. And we saw in our last group of 3 classes, 10, 11, and 12, we saw side headlock on the ground for side control, okay? This is from standing. We see some repeated patterns like breaking the headlock, going to mounted armbar, okay? So, if I'm getting in here trying to do things that we learned literally on class 1, right? Like step up and take down. If I'm trying to do those things, I'm gonna be inside clinch. And when you go inside clinch, one thing that someone might do is grab your head. Now, if he grabs my head like this, or let's say he just was pulling in like that, and we discussed a couple classes ago about defending against strikes. Okay, here, all right? He's gonna have his head with both hands, and I want you to try and maintain this after we go down, okay? So, here's what we need to do, guys. We gotta go here, and I'm going to step back, and I'm gonna hook with a C grip right behind his knee. This is also for when an attacker is wide stance, right? So, and here's the thing. Why would we go wide stance? Pop quiz.
Probably to widen our base, stability.
What happens when we widen our base?
Add more leverage to it.
Leverage, weight, right? And then too, we talked about this, like, do you want that weight in your spinal cord, in your neck? It would make it terrible, right? Like, right. That's like, they called a very controversial UFC fight, the ref stopped it. And he said, I stopped it because I was worried about his neck and spine. And it's like, oh, well, we didn't think about it that way. Like, a lot of people were not, they're like, it wasn't a joke. You know, what it wasn't, it was the headlock. Then a lot of people call this the bully headlock, right? So, here, somebody's doing that. Here's the thing. When you base down like that, you're susceptible to this rear takedown, okay? Remember also, anytime we go to the mat first, it's a sacrifice throw. He's here, okay? So, we talked about last class hanging off of this hip when we go down, okay? Good wide base. Yes. Now, what I want to do here is I'm stepping back a little bit, here in my base. And then I am gonna pull his hips to get him to fall and turn to his side away from me, right? As I slide here. Okay. And we land in this situation, which has been common here. Try not to raise up as you transition over. Here. Anytime we have mount and our knees up, it's called technical mount. And now we want to lean forward and down into his neck. There's my arm bar. Okay? Here. So, you go ahead and we worked on this a little bit. I want you to just go ahead and do it, okay? So, I'm going to give you the base. And that's just this important detail for partners too, because we need to start observing like they're doing this, right? So when they do this, I do that. Not I do anything I want. So this rear takedown, the win is when I'm wide stance, okay? So here, boom, right? Is this the side you want? Is this your dominant side?
No, but I can make it work.
Okay, in defense, we need to make it work both sides. We'll do it the other side next time. It would be that way, yes, okay? Now step this foot back a little bit. See, that's strong. You're grabbing the hip, see? Oh, I like that. Now you see how you almost have me seated, in a sense, on your thigh here. Slide that thigh through and pull me this way. Yes! Nice. And come forward. Tech mount. Over the head, there it is. Close the hand, army bar. Good. Very nice. That was pretty good. Let's do your good side. Okay, I always like make this point. You know, who wants to spend all our time working on defense? Arm bars are super cool. Well, here we get the best of both worlds. But defense, I'm left-handed. Not very many people know that. I teach everything in here right-handed for everybody, because very few people are left-handed. Like less than 10% or something, right? But that being said, I might also grab you on the other side. Yeah. And you just be like, whoa, what? So defense, both sides is always a good idea. Hook, base, yes. And you're gonna pull that hip in a back arc as it slides through. Yes, very good, man. Step over, lean over my head, yes. Good. Good adjustment, bringing your legs in. You know, a cool way to, a metaphor for that, was stealing this from Daniel O'Brien, is he's like, he said this at the seminar, he's like, it's like you're doing a cannonball.
Oh yeah.
Right? And he said the same thing on the rear naked choke. Right? You're bringing everything in, and it's like you're doing a cannonball. So I'm like, genius. Great metaphor. It's super simple. Okay, so that is really similar to that throw we saw last class. Okay, so throw we saw last class was a sacrifice, and it was more to the, I went underneath their base and pulled them over. This, pointing down into the rear, but at an arc. Okay, so nice on the side headlock defense. Again, we're always working headlock defense, but that'll be the last side, standing side headlock defense for a few batches of classes. Okay, so next what we'll be doing is moving on to maintaining the middle mount position, right? So we want to be able to address some of these common escapes that we know by now, which are the three big ones: bridge and roll, or UPA escape. And then the next two are both hip escapes. The backward hip escape, people commonly call a shrimp, right? And then the knee elbow escape, which you also kind of, when you start turning side to side, that's the motion of shrimping, okay? So when people are trying to do things like push us off, as we saw in class number 2, when we're just holding low mount, right? We need to be able to address those things. We want to be able to maintain a position. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a story. There's one that just recirculated, Ryan Hall, this drunk guy at a pizza parlor. And he just held the guy down until the cops got there. Matt Serra, he's a famous UFC fighter, Enzo Gracie black belt, and Like, really a famous black belt in his own right, same thing. I know a guy, I think we told the story in another class, held a guy in like side headlock Kessa and put his hat on the guy's face, called the cops from his cell phone while holding a guy. So it's like, wow, that's an attainment, right? So we just do this by taking a look, like, oh, you move here, I do this. You move here, I do this. It's just like our standing, balance, base. So this is literally going to be base in the middle mount, okay? Okay, base, something we're always talking about. And here, just because we're in mount does not mean that we can't have base. It's actually like, you know, if I lose base, he might be on top, okay? Or I'm losing position off balance, I fall over, he gets to get up, kicks me in the teeth, I don't know. Anything could happen. Right now, I'm kind of sitting over Micah's hips, okay? Just turn sideways. So I don't want this where my hips are going straight down over his hips, because if he raises his hips up, go ahead and do that, just a bruise. Yes. See, you made me put my hands down, I was kind of off balance. Like I did that first and you start hip escape. If I start leaning backwards, it's not a good situation, okay? So what I need to do is that my hips are a little too far back. I need to come up a little bit, but my hips don't need to come up too much. Like there, I'm too far forward a little bit. So here, I don't want to be sitting on your hips. So I'm gonna put some weight into my knees, and I have a rounded spine, okay? And just kind of almost periscoping here over your face. All right, so that's kind of middle mount. And look how I can adjust. There I can put a little less weight in my knees, a little more weight in my knees, right? Less weight in my knees means more weight in my hips, okay? So here's, let's take a look at what to do if they're framing to hip escape, right? We saw this, 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 and we'll also talk about this, okay? Let's do the singles first. So if you go here, look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn, and then I'm gonna lean weight on this, right? That way I can start coming down to trap for different ways to take the back that we'll learn in some later classes next time we come back around to mount. So if you come here, if I got that middle mount here, and then I lean on it, okay? So both in the center. This is a different one. On this one, we don't just deflect. That's not gonna work, man. So you're pushing me back, push me to a corner. Yeah, see that? I might even fall over if I wasn't ready for that, okay? So when this happens, go ahead. Right, I round my spine. So much so that when the pressure stops, I want hands on the mat. And that's fine, we'll talk about hands on the mat in a second. Because if somebody, like if you caught me here over your hips and you bridge, I may have to put my hands on the mat. I just have to be strategic about it, okay? So there's this idea of bringing our weight forward, and that can stop it. But then we, as a review, rounded spine, I'm doing my froggy stretch with my feet together. My toes are pointing backwards at the matted wall over here, okay? I don't want this brown spine, it feels pretty good. That, you know, nice arch, and when I round things, like it's still based on my hands, my knees are light, and you're like, this sucks, okay? So that's just a transition to low mount. So the distribution of weight against this or this is middle mount, and then I lean forward with that rounded spine, like more of that periscope sort of idea I was talking about, right? And when you start doing that, people might bridge and try something else, okay? And that's when we just loop into defeating the bridge, okay? So one more time in the center, and then we'll let you review. Okay, you're pushing back. I'm getting middle mount. You felt me lift my weight up here. Feet together. Low mount. See, I can have a little weight on my hand and knee, or my hand and knee, or my hands, or my knees. And it's just, that allows, if you move, I can just follow it. I don't have a lot of weight on anything except you, okay? So let's take a look at this from your perspective. Let's face here. First, let's just find our weight. Okay, so start seated on my hips. Okay, yes. So you feel if I raise my hips, particularly if I had you wedged in there, like this, if I raise my hips, it would off balance you here, right? You feel how you're like a rodeo rider just then. Don't do that again. That's my busted hand I just pushed you off with. It kind of hurt, but so that's all it took. Okay, so drop your weight back down. Now, you feel how light things are in your knees. Okay, so I want you to not too much. Raise your hips up. This a little too much, a little less. Round your spine. Yes. Okay. Forward just a little bit. Good. Now, up just a little bit more, but come forward and round that spine with it. Yes. Okay. If I come up and you start being off balance, you raise your hips up. Yes. Okay. So that's the weight. Little to move us. I tell you, get your. That's better. That's better. Right. Good. Okay. So if I start going here, deflect. Yes. You can use a palm. Elbow's better because look at this weight. This is terrible. Okay. I go here, lean on it. Yeah. That's terrible. Now go with that. Now drop your chest down on that. And hands on the mat. Boom. Both hands on the mat. See, now this is totally trapped. Right? I have both hands on one side, not good. Okay? So that's just deflecting frames. Okay, now the other one, weight in the knees a little bit more. Good, not too much pinch, but a little pinch. You know, never want your legs to be trembling. Okay, now if I go both here, round that spine, just find the distribution of weight. I'm not gonna push you backwards. I'm gonna try to the corner though. This is a more advanced class. If I try to the corner to offset that a little bit, I'm gonna go to this corner. Okay, so to offset that a little bit, you could turn this hip a little bit more. They said that's not anything like I'm super concerned about. Yeah, see? Now, just by itself, it'll be fine, right? We're gonna talk about defending this cross frame a little different way. But if they go here, low mount all day. If they go here, low mount all day. Okay, get your weight up off my hips a little bit. I go here, fold over that, go low mount. Drop your chest, hands on the mat, feet together, toes back. Round spine. Light knees and hands. Good. Nice. Okay. So that is defending against the hip escape ideas. Right? So here, you deflect. Well, weight a little bit more up in your knees, a little bit more weight in your knees. Deflect, right? Low mount. Yeah, it's almost like you're kind of skydiving, right? If that's before go low mount all the way, knees wide. Yes, good. Nice. I just totally trapped under there. Terrible. That was good. Okay, but it is. I think it's 10th plane that they call this the skydive when you're holding the low mount like that. But that is a really good overview of that. Now let's go into a couple other things, okay? Look back on your back. We'll turn it this way. So, when someone is bridging, okay? And there, like at the very top of his bridge, he got me. So I don't need that. Like I don't want to go forward because you made me go forward. I don't want to, like when earlier we're both of us kind of doing it going backwards, like kind of like a rodeo sort of idea. It's weird, but people do that. Okay, and you can something to watch for. So before I start doing that, I need to just lower myself down. I'm gonna stay in middle mount when I do that, so it's gonna be something like this. Okay, we talked about the knee elbow escape. When you notice somebody has hands on the mat, you can knee elbow escape. So that'll be the last thing we address on the maintaining mount, right? So we need to be able to defend against hip escape, bridge and roll, upa escape, and the elbow escape. That's the big three, okay? So let's go over that. Now, if you start bridging and I'm here, not good. You made me do that, okay? Now, start bridging. See how my hips are back? It's like the same thing as I was loading out. My hands are light, my knees are light. This is one of the recent classes. We may have been talking afterwards, but I was like, yeah, raise your hips like this. It makes my hands stay on the mat. They're stuck there. My hands aren't stuck on the mat when you did that, okay? And it's because of the timing, okay? So here, I don't have weight on your hips, but I feel your hips go to come up underneath me. So I start coming forward. Not as you were making me come forward, I started to come forward before that. I felt your bridge. I'm like, he's trying to bump and make me be off balance. Do that. Yeah. Round spine still, light on my knees, but I can pinch and light on my hands.
That's your choice.
Yes. Okay. So the big thing is just being able to, it's distribution of weight. Here, middle mount. I don't have to go low mount. I just here. Okay. The thing is, if I come too far forward here, put your hands under either in my hips or under my armpits, either one, and make me go forward. Now you can start doing an escape where you kind of roll out of the back. Okay, so we don't want that. So when you bridge, try and do that now. Like, and just in a very subtle way, I'm leaning and pulling my hips backwards. Okay, just in a very subtle way. Okay, so this middle mount, and then when you bridge, I'm here. Right? Not over your hips. My hips are going back like that. My spine is staying rounded. And I can push with my hands a little bit. But again, I like to be able to base with my hands. Let's get you to try that one real quick. Good, okay. Bring forward a little bit, rounded spine. That's good. That feels like a good middle mount. Light pinch at the knee. That's even better. Okay, so here, it's just like standing base. Like you could defend, you're good. You have good distribution of weight. Think about when we bring weight in the balls of our feet, it's like what you're doing right here. Okay, your weight's forward. So I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, try and bridge. Start with your hips staying back. Just fold your chest. Fold over your hips that are staying back. Hands are gonna be on the mat here. And let me put you too far forward so you know what it feels like too. Too far forward. See, I just like pushing your stomach. It might be in your chest, your armpits. And I can just keep you kind of bear crawling up over my head. Okay, so get that good distribution of weight back. Good, so when I bridge, fold, hands on the mat, right there. Oh, that's pretty good, good. It's very similar to low mount, except we don't have to do the feet together, knees wide, froggy stretch thing. Right? It's very similar, right? Like low mount, think the hips are, doesn't matter if you push them back. Nothing's happening, same thing here, okay? So do that again, I bridge. Oh, late. See, do that, try and simulate that mistake again. I'm like, oh, he's going backwards, pushing backwards. That is such a great application on this hip escape we learned a couple classes ago. Remember, we talked about like, hey, go to hit me with that hand. Right? Now do this. Get your middle mount. Light pinch. Go to hit me with this. You already have the weight distribution, so you can do more things. Okay? So here, when I bridge, you fold, hips back, hands on the floor about right here. Yes. Good. Okay, now, hands on the floor is just a thing. Like that. So think about middle mount as being a high posture and a low posture. Like inside a guard, right? We saw some of the punch defense. Well, and in some later classes, we'll see kind of both perspectives of like, I'm postured up inside your guard so you don't control my posture. Or I'm trying to control your posture so you don't hit me, right? It's that interplay always. You may have to come down like a low mount or like a middle mount with low posture. Okay, so when I bridge, we'll just pause there. Okay, well, good, stay here. Now, what I want is if I feel I can, that you just stopped my idea of taking you overhead, get that good distribution of weight, your hips are back, they're folding over my hands. So if I do this, turn your shoulder, pummel inside. Turn your shoulder, pummel inside. One at a time. Turn and pummel, turn and pummel. Here's a good detail on the pummel. Put your hand in your back pocket. Here. Like turn your shoulders first, hand in the back pocket, pummel. That back pocket, yeah. And then turn your other shoulder into the back pocket, right? So like when you turn, whatever side you turn this way, that hand goes in the back pocket. Then that really ensures you got that pummel in there. Okay, pummel back inside, and get that weight, low posture, middle mount. Good, okay? Now, that's the two main ways with hands on the mat to not just get knee elbow escaped, right? Like they're not just gonna turn on their side from here. Now, here's the thing though. We're talking about, oh, they were bridging, we stopped the bridge, but now, right, you have good base, so they might not just immediately knee elbow escape. A lot of times people just bump a knee elbow, okay? So what we're gonna do is, if you have good distribution of weight, and I try and put this seatbelt frame on you right here, it's not really gonna do anything. Particularly if you put a little more of this hip into it, yeah, like we talked about earlier, that's kind of more advanced concept. You can do it without that, but this is really getting sense. Oh, I feel what you're doing. It's just that one. We need to expose to this a few times before we can think that way. So here's the thing. There are gonna be two ways that we defend. Let me get on top. That we defend against someone trying to knee elbow escape. Okay? And we've seen some of these ways, if you think back to one of our first classes, low mount, we've seen some of these ways to counter this. Okay? So here I am in middle mount, you try and bridge me, I fold. Right? Try and push my hips back. Still not gonna work. You're straining a little bit there, I like it. Right, that's it. Okay, so I got this good low postured middle mount. I didn't come up under your armpits. My feet are not wrapped around your hips in low mount. So from here, you if you try, we saw this in the low mount video too, and just as a review, if you try and wrap my arm for some reason, you're not doing the right thing, so it doesn't matter, I just pummel it. Okay? So, but if you try and turn on your side to knee elbow escape, that will stop it. I feel like I maybe broke your spine doing that, right? like look, you're like made a weird curve there. But then you can't fight. Yeah. You need your head to be in alignment with your spine to do this stuff. Okay? So here, try and turn on the turn that way. So I come under his head, the side he's turning. Look how that torsions and torques his body. Go on the other side. Okay? Now, a lot of times people will turn on their side to build this frame a little bit and I'm knocked down. Okay? If he is doing that, I want to control this bottom arm. And this can be a wrist control or it could be a sleeve control. Right? And you really just need to be able to do both. It could also be like plucking his elbow. Okay? Turn here. So think, like, see how you got that inside position there? I don't want that. If you have that, you might start, this is how we knee elbow escape, last class. Go ahead and do it. Yes, beautiful. Go back. This elbow is instrumental. It is the knee of the knee elbow, right? Or the elbow of the knee elbow. Okay, but, so I need to deal with this. Okay, so if you start trying your knee elbow, that's plucking the elbow. Turn this way. Go this side. Right, and that's more of a hip escape. Right, get a little more on your side. Legs straight in the center. Go ahead and do the knee elbow on that. Yes, good. Come back. You do it again. Boom. Right. There you go. Now, go ahead and do that again. This is almost like cheating to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? What if you had short sleeves on and we're in the parking lot?
Grab the wrist.
I like it. Let's try it. Go ahead. And then see how this distribution of weights go. All right. And just working on that theme. So, you know, hammer fists are good in mount, dropping a little elbow, wedging a hand against the spine, or going under the head. We've seen all that today and in this program so far. So, stop my knee elbow escape.
Do that with the head thing. Moving the head.
Moving the head
Or pulling the arm out.
or pulling the arm out. And so we have things in twos today. We deflected frames, right? We deflect and we low mount transitioned, folding over frames. Okay. Then we saw, oh, if he bridges, I do this. If you're stopping the UPA so much, if you do that, it doesn't matter if I try. I don't have the right anything to try and wrap your arm to continue that escape. Okay, so, but that hands on the mat, that's a counter to the UPA stuff. But when your hands are on the mat, we said this last class, like that's a great time to do the knee elbow escape, right? When their hands are on the mat. So, here, that's you. Yeah, good. Boom. The side I turn to.
And if my spine's still around it, when I do this.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just get do this. We'll start. Yeah, we'll start in that position we're just talking about. Here. All right. So we'll start with the bridge. That way you get it. So get the middle mount. Good distribution of weight. Be able to kind of go up and down a little bit. Okay. Now when I bridge, you come forward. Boom. Yes. Okay. So then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna. Yeah. Perfect. Now go back. Go right back there. And then here. Yes. Little more. Toward my spine a little more. Yes. That's it. Okay, stay here. Good weight. Yes. Okay. Now it's plucking the arm. Boom. Boom. Okay. What if I just did turn? This is the way the sleeve and wrist is often shown. Because on some of them, think like do the grapevine. Right? So if somebody's pushing your knee at all for the knee elbow, that is a great time. Grab my wrist, like the knife edge of my hand, and pluck it up. Boom. Right? Here, grab my sleeve and pull it up and out. Yes. Good. So that's kind of, like look here. Grab the sleeve, pull it up. All right? Grab the elbow. Yes. Grab the hand on that one, strip the grip, knife hand, yeah, and just pull it up.
Right here.
Uh-huh. Boom. And you can do this is kind of bonus material, but grab my hand like that. I'm gonna hold on real hard. Kick your leg back a little bit. Yes. See, and you didn't even kick your leg back as much as you brought your hip forward, which I also like, which is the same thing I was telling you to do, right? It's just like, make some space here, right? It's not like there, just try and get with just your hand. I'm gonna hold on real tight. All right, let me go. All right, now add your hip and leg into it. Yes. Okay, so, you know, the lesson here is that people, if you look back to the first class on holding mount, people are going to push you off. They're gonna try. We know this. Like, what technique have we done on, you know, trying, like people dealt with that didn't involve the push? Like a bridge, what am I doing with the bridge? I'm pushing my hips up, right? I'm pushing my back against the floor. I'm driving my feet into the floor to raise and press my hips. So, you know, there's a lot of push-pull dynamic here in this stuff. And this is just kind of the fundamentals of maintaining the middle mount position, okay? So we have just one more thing to do, and that'll be the mounted arm bar. Today we're seeing it as a counter to the UPA. Okay, so this is the last technique. If you think back to the first batch of classes, yes, and kind of shoulder walk, get me wedged in here. Good. Yeah, and go ahead and do your textbook bridge and roll. Yeah. Good, go back. I know this. Class 1 material. That's the first technique we learn on the ground in the whole program. So, if I were to grab your collar or put my arm here, I'm giving you the opportunity to do that. I transitioned to technical mount. Hand over the face, collect the arm. Now, see how my head's over your head? Like that's me drawing a straight line from my nose, chopping down to your forehead. If I swing my head over towards your legs, that's what makes it easy for this foot to step over for the arm bar. Okay? So the idea, let's just do this a time or two. Put me a mount. Just go to technical mount. When I bridge. Okay? So, you know, the cool part is how I could do here and have you. You could do here and have me. It's just, you know, are we ever safe? Okay? That's why you gotta keep coming to class. So, you got a little connection there. Now, I'm gonna bridge, because I'm like, oh, I need to bridge this way. You put that hand on the mat and slide this knee up under my shoulder so I don't just put my shoulder back down. And bring this knee up. Good. This a little higher, almost making my neck go forward. Beautiful. Now, post and drive my chin to the mat. Beautiful. Take your head over here. Now take that leg over my face. Slide down to my thumb as you fall back. Knees in. Uh-huh. We're done here. That's all she wrote. Go again. Whatever side you want me to bridge to, you just put that on my throat. Yeah, go ahead. Put it on there. Oh, okay. All right. And then, when you feel me start to do that, grab my tricep. All right. All right. Go back. It's all right. Figuring it out. All right, and I'm like, oh, bridge and roll. Okay. Yes. Okay. Go back. Think about this. Keep this. What are we doing with this? We can go on the mat over here to help you slide, right? Almost like, you know, when we sit through, we have a hand on the mat, we kind of turn on it. Okay, so put this hand on the mat, and so help that knee slide. Also, you feel this? When it's time, you're gonna pull with that as you go to slide up, and that gets me up on my, yes! See that? So you're harnessing, like, you know, he's gonna bridge, he's gonna come up that way anyway, so I'm gonna kind of pull here, keep him going, you know, and then slide around it. This is the counter, go back. Okay, so. Oh, beautiful. If you would, and discontinue it. Discontinue it. Just take here. Excellent. Okay. I want you to try and go straight to the armbar like that. Okay, that was it. The first motion you made, voila. You know, when the moon hits the sky. There used to be the guy at Menzies, he would sing that song to you. Anyway, so go ahead, go. Yeah, put it on my throat. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna escape. And then you grab you. Boom. Keep going, keep going. Push your hand on the mat. Good, come back. Pull again. Think about that post and slide and pull. Post, slide, or sorry, post, slide, pull. This post on the mat. I carry some weight so this can slide up. I'm bridging, so you're pulling me that way anyway. Hand on the mat, yeah. Good, you can put it on my biceps if you want. Yeah, good. Sometimes I'll put it on their wrist. Okay, and just post, right? And I like the other way because it's on their face, but you're doing everything so well here. If you need to modify that for a second, look, what am I gonna do? That some with that hand. Now fall back for the arm bar. Yes. Nice. You know, I prefer the hand on the face, but it's not always perfect. I wish it was. Then, like, we would have way more people. Because you know why people stop doing jiu-jitsu? Because they get frustrated with themselves. And, yeah, okay, let's just say there is a perfect way to do certain techniques, which some people would say that there are. And I'm always trying to attain a highest essence of a technique. But that being said, sometimes you have a student that, take Jean-Jacques Machado. He grew up doing this. He's a family member of the Gracies, like a cousin. He only has part of one finger, really. Like he has kind of like he has a finger and then part of another finger, and then no fingers in the middle. So he has like little pinchers. And I remember I was a blue belt. This is when there was no stuff on YouTube. But Jean-Jacques Machado, he's got great stuff on YouTube, and he always has. And I'm watching some instructional of his, and I'm just like watching it, and I keep going back because it's gi chokes from the guard. And I'm like, I don't know any gi choke. I'm a blue belt, you know, like what? And at that time, I was terrible with gi chokes. Like you're probably better today. I mean, and that's just over hard work of like, I had to really work to get better. But then I noticed that he's doing this one choke, it's called loop choke. And I noticed him pass the lapel off with this. So, you know, here's the thing, is Jean-Jacques Machado, who's one of the best ever, and what he did is he adapted. He adapted to that. So he is able to do things with that people wouldn't be able to do without it. Like Eddie Bravo's coach is Jean-Jacques Machado. No gi man, right? Like the no gi #1 guy, Eddie Bravo, that's his coach. And a lot of people say that's because of Jean-Jacques' hand. Like he does more overhooks and underhooks than gi grips, right? And in this class here, we're doing more overhooks and side clinch, that's an underhook. Okay, so good work. That concludes class 15, another batch of study on the mount, right? So that's, we did 13, 14, 15, saw a bunch of cool side headlock escape stuff. And then if you take a look back to class 1, 2, and 3, we were doing mount there as well, all right? So review those classes together, and it will help you get better at holding that position and being able to attack from there and escape, all right?